Welcome to the Elite Life Podcast with your hosts, Trisha and Kylee. Here, we guide you on a journey of personal and professional transformation, revealing the secrets to success. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, join us as we unlock the doors to the elite world of growth, grit, and grace. So, let's dive in.
All right, what up, Elite Life fam? It is time for another episode of the Elite Life Podcast. You are here. I am Kylee. That is Trisha. Whoop. And today we are talking about time management because ain't nobody got time for more time. Do we have time? More time?
You have to make time.
Make time. So we wanted to break down some tips and tricks on how you can make the most of your time. Practical game-changing tips here. I'm telling you, it's just stuff that you implement to just revolutionize the way that you look at your day.
Every day is going to be 3 days for you.
Every day is 3 days. If you think about it, what you can get done in one day, you could take the next couple days off.
Oh, dude, I get so much done in a day. So much done.
All right, let's jump in. Tip number 1, prioritize your tasks. So I know, Trisha, you're a pro at this. I am starting to get good at it myself. So when I'm feeling overwhelmed with all the things, right, especially as a wife, as a mom, as a realtor, as all of the other hats that we wear, Trisha's over here yawning. So her's tired.
I'm not tired.
That's what she tells me. She's like, you're not tired. Never say that you're tired. Never, ever say that you're tired.
You may feel tired. Because remember, words have power, right? This is not the episode we're doing, but words have power. So if you're constantly saying that you're tired, your brain hears that, and then you think that you're tired. You may be feeling the feeling of being tired, but
That's
are not
when you
tired.
need an Alani New.
Oh my gosh, can you call them to sponsor us? Why haven't we sent? Why are we not branded this?
All right, so backing up, getting back on track. I love what you said though, because you can tell yourself, I have more time. I have more time. I've got the time. So number 1, prioritize your tasks. So when you're looking at all of the things, you're like, I look at everything and I'm like, okay, if I've got 10 things that have to be done today, what has to be done right now? Okay. While my kids are gone, what are the things that I have to get done while the kids are not underneath me? What things can I do with them up underneath me? So usually the things I need to do when they're gone is not cleaning, because I can do that when they're home. I'm making phone calls. I'm being on the phone. I'm doing things that require quiet, that require thought, because when you have children around, there's no unbroken strain of thought. Like not even a single second do you have one thought that's congruent without being broken into.
I also say do the hard things first, because here's the thing. We like to, or people like to procrastinate, right? Like, oh, I'm going to do these 100 things because I don't want to do this one thing. Like when I have a paper to write or a big project for Elite, I always make sure like, all right, first thing tomorrow morning, I am doing that thing, because like you said, it's top priority that it gets done.
Yep.
And it's going to take a lot of mental energy.
Yep.
So guess what I'm not going to want to do after I did 10 other things? Even if those 10 things were easy things, that compounds, right? You start the day with so many chemicals for handling things, and every little you're scrolling on your Facebook, that's taking those chemicals. That's taking your mental bandwidth. All of these things take your mental bandwidth. So do the hardest thing first. If you are somebody who procrastinates, I want you to get the book, Eat That Frog, and learn how to do your big things first. Because then also you have a big win, and then you don't mind doing those next 10 things.
You're boosted. You're boosted from that. And also think about what it entails. Like Trisha said, me flopping the laundry and, unloading and reloading the dishwasher. Do I want to do that after I get the kids to bed? No, but that is something that requires this much thought. Right here. I'm literally just physically moving my body and putting things where they go, right? Zero thought needed for that. But if I'm writing podcast outlines, or if I am writing a script, or if I am prospecting, I need to have my mental juices going in order to do those things. So I like that. I like putting the hard things first and then looking at what you absolutely have to do with the time that you have.
Yeah, for sure. And set realistic goals. I mean, can I write a 20-page paper, go on a 20-mile run, and flip the laundry, do my calls, do this. Like, what you can do and what you should do may not necessarily be the same things, because, you do the first thing really, really well, the next thing okay, and then the following things are just trash. Like, know when to be done. Like, there's times where I'll be like, oh, I'll get in bed and I'll start my reading for school, and then I'm like, I'm not getting anything out of this.
I'm done.
So I would rather close the book, go to bed, wake up early, and start when I have the brain power to actually understand what I'm reading, instead of reading it and then having to read it again because I didn't actually get any.
Yeah, put all your big time-consuming things not on the same day. Don't do that to yourself. You love yourself. Why would you do that? I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy. So when you have big time-consuming projects, like when you sit down at the beginning of the year and you map out every friggin' second of your waking life.
I spend a whole day doing that.
She spends an entire day.
That's all I do that day.
But that's it. You don't go running. You don't do any other things that day except for wake up, eat, plan, sleep. Like
my audit day too, when I did that audit day a couple months ago, and I was like, okay, this is what I've done this year. This is what I'm going to do the whole rest of the year. That's all I did that day. Like, I'm clearing my mind. I'm clearing my schedule. I'm making sure I'm in a good place, and I'm going to plan out everything. And then it relieves all the stress and anxiety of when am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Like, it's done. Like, I have a plan and a strategy, and that's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. And the next tip is delegate. So delegate when possible. Obviously, you can't delegate your phone calls to someone, okay? However, you can delegate flopping the laundry, the dishes, like those things. If you have a family, let your family handle that. I mean, let go of control of that. They might not do it exactly the way that you want it done, but it'll be done. It's off your plate. You're not thinking about it, and you can focus on other things. If you're living by yourself, maybe bring someone in. Maybe bring someone in who can do those things for you. Pay them. Find a teenager who can vacuum your floor, clean your cat box, and fold your towels and put them away. Like, when you think about your time, like Andy was saying this at our 411 or Monday morning, somewhere Andy said this. He was like, I was spending 3 hours cutting my grass. Why would I be doing that when my 3 hours is worth $300 an hour, and I could be prospecting, serving my clients, selling houses, and I could be paying someone else $20 an hour to handle this? Like, the cost benefit analysis is ridiculous. So make sure that you are able to delegate and take those things off your plate.
And think long and hard about if it is really something that only you can do, and is it all something only you can do? Like, great example is I get to places where I feel overwhelmed, and then I don't want to do anything. And that's not an option in my life, to not do anything. So I just feel overwhelmed and I get stressed out. And I was talking to a coach the other day, and he's like, okay, I know it's easy for people to say delegate, but you're like, I'm delegating everything I can. And I'm like, I am. Like, when I look at my calendar, everything that I'm doing, I only, like you said, only I can do it, or the expectation is that I do it. And he's like, okay, but do you have to do all of it? Like, say an event, right? Like Skull Island open house. I wanted to be there as part of that crew and to represent the company because I am a leader in the company. But
you didn't have to plan every little thing.
And I didn't have to. And now looking back at it, I didn't have to be there all day, both days of the open house.
I was so proud of you.
Yeah, but that took away my entire weekend, and there was other things that I needed to get done that I had to smush in other places that only I could do. I could have lightened a lot of stress and anxiety off of my plate had I said, okay, I will just come one day, or I will just come for the first 2 hours of both days.
Yeah.
That would have been a better for me option than what I did. Now, I don't regret what I did, but next year I will do it differently. And I'll probably say I'll come for the first 2 hours of each day, or I'll just come for one out of the 2 days.
Yeah.
Because I personally don't need to be the person that's there for both days all day, especially if I have other things that really do need only my attention.
And I would also say, really think about why you feel or think that only you can do those things.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a really good point, because like I often will say, only I can do STARS training. Well, guess what? When I got COVID, I could not come in and do STARS training, and Andy and Erica did STARS training.
And they did a fabulous job.
They
did a fabulous job.
And everything was fine.
And everything was fine.
So ask yourself, is the story I'm telling Brene Brown, shout out to Brene Brown, is the story I'm telling myself 110% true? Because very often, even people that are high performers and high achievers and in leadership and doing all this personal development, sometimes the story we're telling ourselves is not 100% true. And when you really sit back and think about it, okay, if I let this person do it, what could go wrong? And if that goes wrong, is it not able to be fixable?
Or is it actually wrong?
Because
your husband folding the towels backwards is not wrong.
Not the end of the day.
No.
Not the end of the story.
No.
And how much is your responsibility? Another thing that my coach was telling me is like, I got very upset because I had set a couple meetings at our Livonia office, and I went, and this day, all the meetings that I went to Livonia for, just whatever, it was a perfect storm. They all didn't end up happening.
Was that the day that I didn't come?
No, it was a different day. It was a Friday, and I was supposed to meet with this guy and this guy and this guy, and none of them were meetings that were necessarily going to benefit me, but they were meetings that like I felt like I should have and be at, and they were going to be helpful to them, but then they didn't show up, and then I was mad. I was like, I set aside this time for you. You didn't even show up. I'm mad about it. And what I normally do is I had actually put on my calendar to reschedule with the guy who didn't show up for his meeting. And I do this all the time. Like, somebody's supposed to show up for a meeting, I'll put on my calendar for me to remind them to show up for a meeting that's going to benefit them. And my coach was like, absolutely no longer are you doing that. If you make an appointment with me, which I told you, like that was the example, and I learned the lesson, and then you missed your meeting with me, and I text you and I said, you did not show up for your meeting. I will not be scheduling any more meetings with you. If you need my time, you will show up, or you will let me know at least 24 to 48 hours in advance that you are unable to show up. There will be no more follow-up from me. I will not reschedule it. I will not put it back on my calendar. I will not make myself available for something that's going to benefit you, and then you just don't show up. There has to be repercussions for those people taking your time and not
I felt so bad.
Not doing it
Like such
wisely.
a jerk.
Well,
But-
you got the blowback from other people that did it in a rude manner. And really, I was more kind with you because I wasn't sure on that scenario if I just moved it myself because of how old Trisha was working, or if we genuinely had a meeting on that day and time.
And you will be so proud of me, because the reason I missed that meeting, and you gave me a tip of like, hey, your buyer's consults, your stuff does not have to be in person. Like, I feel like I have this thing where it's like, I have to meet them in person. I booked a buyer consult via Zoom. You'll be so proud of me.
Yeah, and that's the same for me, though. That was another thing my coach said. Do you have to be in person for all these things? No, I can help all
She's
of my
getting wild
agents.
now. She is smacking the mic.
I can help all of my agents via Zoom. I don't have to be in person. So sometimes the pressure and the anxiety and the stress and
all up here.
and the time,
It's in your head.
you're screwing yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to drive to Livonia for these things. Like,
No.
I can do them via Zoom. We can catch up via a phone call. We can catch up via FaceTime. We can catch up via Zoom. I would love to see you, but I don't need to drive from Clarkston to Livonia to see you.
No.
We can do a FaceTime. We can do a Zoom. We can do
Or you
whatever.
can come to my house. I live 10 minutes down the street.
Right. And like I told you, don't just drop training and your meeting with me. Instead, Zoom into training, ask for the Zoom link after if you can't Zoom in at that time, and still get the training, still get the coaching, but do it remotely or ask for the replay of it. Like,
Yep.
there are everything is figure outable, but it is up to you to do the work
to figure it out.
And set yourself up for success. Set yourself up for success.
And this brings us to our next point of minimizing distractions, right? So we've talked about this several times, but I want to reiterate it because if I've learned anything, it's you have to hear something at least 12,000 dozen times before it hits home. Like, how many times have you told me a thing before finally it clicked? And or even in your own brain, like how many times have you heard XYZ, XYZ, XYZ before finally it clicked? Either you had an experience and then it clicked, or it clicked and then you had an experience. Like, we as humans are repetitive creatures. Like, to build a habit, we have to be repetitive with it. And so I think that with a lot of things, you have to hear it so many times, and minimizing distractions is one of them, because what I've noticed about life is you will be like, all right, minimizing distractions. Monday, you did great. Tuesday, you did great. Wednesday, you did okay. Thursday, you did all right. By Friday, you have 0 Fs left. You don't care. You are tired. Your kids are crazy. You want to feed them pizza. Like, you want to, and it's not just distractions in your life, like your kids being underneath you or your phone being on. Like, these are mental. I'm talking about mental, physical, like all the distractions that you could possibly have, right? Feelings. Like, there have been so many times where I've had an interaction with somebody that usually I love, and it's usually someone I love, not usually I love them. Usually I'm having an interaction with somebody I love, and that's an emotional distraction. And now I have to go into work and I have to compartmentalize that. I have to tell myself, okay, emotions, we're going to deal with that later. We are not going to allow this to take up our day. We're not going to allow this to distract us from being in our very best mental state, because when you allow that to suck up all your day and all of your time and your energy, the rest of your to-do list just goes, pardon my language, it goes to shit. Mm-hmm. It goes completely down the drain. So when we're talking about minimizing or eliminating distractions, this is not just environmental stuff. Like, we've talked before about, if you're working from home, set yourself up for success. Make sure there's not a load of dishes that are going to distract you. Make sure the laundry machine's not going. Make sure, like, all of these things, but also make sure your mental distractions are in order as well.
Yeah, for sure. And keep yourself in check and try to, like, the dramatics. I can't call them anything else but dramatics. There are so many times somebody will be like, oh, well, this day is already put to crap. And I'm like,
that's usually me telling her that.
It is.
That's what she's saying.
I didn't want to call you out, but
I'll call myself out.
I'm like, Kylee, it's 8:30 in the morning.
Like, you have so much day left.
There is an entire, I don't even want to hear that come out of your mouth. Do you understand how much time you have to do literally everything on the planet? There are people that aren't even awake yet. Like, there are people that aren't going to be awake until 11:30, 12. Do not let them outwork you and out hustle you because you had a bad 7 to 7:15 a.m.
Yeah, that's usually me calling her about my kids freaking out before school.
But put your crap in perspective, bro. Seriously, like, I have to do this sometimes with myself too. I'll be like, did you have a bad day, or did you have a bad 20 minutes that then you were like, this whole day was trash? No, dude, all of your day was fine until 5:15 when you got a phone call you didn't like, and then you're just like, bah! Like, life is a mess. And I have to check myself on that a lot. I'll be like, no, this day was great. I had a great day. I had a bad 20 minutes that, like, threw me completely for a loop, and now it's up to me what I get out of this experience. And there's a lot of times, like, I'll tell you about that day where those guys didn't show up for their meetings. I was supposed to go to a sound bath after that, which is where you, like, lay on a floor and you're just comfy and you just listen to these sounds and you just relax. And
sound bath? Can we do an episode about that stuff?
Yeah. So there was a guy who fell asleep next to me and I could hear him snoring. And instead of me just, like, enjoying the situation, I was so hyper focused on this guy snoring. And I'm telling myself, like, you are allowing this to ruin your experience. Like right now, you're what every mom wishes for. You're laying on a floor with nobody bothering you, and you just get to like enjoy this time and listen to these sounds. And instead, you are so hyper fixated on this guy snoring that you're going to allow this to ruin every part of it. And I'm coaching
Also, you
myself
paid
and
for
talking
that.
to you. Oh yeah, and I paid for it. Like I paid for this experience. I have this time. I'm able to just like let everything go. And instead of letting everything go, all I'm doing is being hyper focused on what's going wrong because I'm still upset over this other thing. And I'm telling myself this. And I'm like, you are the one that gets to decide how this experience goes for yourself. And everybody needs to remember that. Somebody the other day was telling me, it was yesterday. Yesterday we were talking about this boy, and they were like, oh, well, he's fat because because of his girlfriend. Like, they're always eating out, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, excuse me, but his girlfriend is not shoving food in his mouth. You are not fat because your significant other eats like crap or doesn't work out. You're fat because of what you put in your mouth and what you do with yourself. Like, the other day, Dave's like, do you want to go on a boat ride? I'm like, no, I need to go for a walk or go to the gym. And he's like, do you want a kayak? And I'm like, no, that will be a cop-out because I'm exhausted. And if I get on the boat, I'm going to not move. And if I get in a kayak, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to be short kind of. I'm going to be phoning it in. I'm not going to be sweaty. I'm not going to be working calories. I'm not going to be doing a work. That's not an actual workout. So whether I wanted to or not, it's 8:30 at night. I took myself to the gym and I did a CrossFit workout where I sweat to death, right? That is your choice. And that's what I want to, like, this is about time management, but part of time management is remembering everything is a choice. You have a choice of how your day is going to go. You have a choice of how you spend your time. You have a choice of what you put in your mouth. You have a choice of if you're going to move your body or not. You have a choice of if you're stressed out or not. If you are stressed out, that is your choice because you control how you react to situations, where you allow yourself to be, and what you allow in your life. So if you don't like how your life is going or how your schedule is going or how your time is going or how you're spending your time or how you're spending your schedule, I don't want to hear your complaints about your kids, your husband, your dog, your environment, the political climate. None of that stuff matters. You decide.
She's preaching straight. She's looking me dead ass in the face and preaching to me right now.
I've had so many of these conversations lately. Like somebody said something about, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I had that scenario too, but I chose to get myself out of that scenario.
Exactly.
That's the difference here. I don't feel bad for that person because they get to make a choice to change their situation.
Exactly. And that brings us to
America.
No, that brings us to saying no, right? Which Trisha basically just preached to you guys the power of no. Do not take off more than you can chew. They're like Ryan and I right now. Our church wants us to go to camp, right? They want us to go to camp. They want us to take the weekend to go to camp. It's an all church thing. I'm super excited about it. It does cost money. So when you are approached by people and like Trisha just said, do you want to XYZ? Feel okay saying no. If you look at your schedule and number one, you don't have time for it, then say no. Number two, if you don't want to do it, say no. Number three, if it's something that you don't have the budget for, say no. It is okay to say no. And sometimes it's going to piss people off that you are not coming to their baby shower or their baby's first birthday or this or that or this or that. But honestly, if you have people in your life who are going to cut you off for you being healthy and saying no, then those people obviously did not want the best for you anyways. There have been plenty of times where I've had to tell friends, like they've invited me to important things. And I have said, you know what, honestly, like friend, I truly cannot fit this in the schedule. I truly cannot fit this in the budget. And my friends are like, all right, cool, we'll catch up later, like, or whatever. But I've also had people be super offended that I did not attend their XYZ or whatever it is. And that's okay too. But just make sure and just remember at the end of the day, you are the one who has to live your life and you are the one who has to, if you do decide to take on that baby shower, you're the one who's going to have to make up for that time that you didn't spend on these other things that you need to do.
Yeah, a yes to one thing is a no to everything else.
Exactly.
And
it's okay to say yes. It's fine. If you are fine with that concession, that's fine.
It should be a full body yes. I'm learning this. This is something that is an ongoing learning for me, because I will say yes and then I'll be like, I don't want to do this. And then I dread it and then it stresses me and then it's anxiety and then I'm like trying to think of ways to get out of it. It's just better to say no, thank you in the beginning. I super appreciate that. Please keep inviting me, but I am not able to attend this.
Yeah.
Right? If it's not a full body yes.
I like that. All right. So to wrap this up, number one, for time management, you are going to, I want everybody to say this with me. Are you ready? I will prioritize my tasks. I will set realistic goals. I will delegate when possible. I will limit my distractions. I will be present in the moment. We didn't cover this, but we kind of did. Be present. I will learn to say no. Okay?
I will learn to say no.
I will learn to say no. And it's okay.
I will learn to just delete it off my calendar if they don't show up. People have to have repercussions for not being as what word am I looking for?
Not being cognizant of your time.
Yeah, respectful of your time.
Yeah. And I think
appreciative of your time.
Exactly. And I mean, if you made the time for someone and then it's one thing if they call you and they're like, listen, I woke up this morning, my kid's at 104. Like, that's a completely different story than a no show, no call. Like, there have been plenty of times where Trisha and I have had plans and I've got 3 kids. You've got kids. How many times have you called me from your bed like, hey, can you take this over today? I know we had plans to do X, Y, Z, but I am in bed. I am on my deathbed. And that doesn't happen a lot for her.
That's different. I'm talking about a no call, no show. Like, I have people at the office. They'll be like, can we do this on Wednesday? I see them all day on Wednesday. If you don't say something like, hey, we're supposed to sit down and talk about this, I'm not saying it either. And I'm deleting it off my calendar. So you no longer get my time.
Yeah,
everybody's on notice.
All right, y'all. So
I'm on fire today.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this session. We really did too. Take some nuggets, implement them in your life, say those things over and over. Remember that it is okay to say no, to prioritize your life, and just make sure that you are healthy and not stressed out, because nobody wants to live that way.
It feels so good. Empower yourself.
It does. It does.
Live the life you want to live.
Absolutely. And so make sure, if you like the show, share with a friend. You never know who needs a little pep talk. I feel this was definitely a pep talk episode. Subscribe so you don't miss a single thing, because we drop fresh content every Thursday. So we will see you next week on The Elite Life.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on the Elite Life Podcast with Trish and Kylee. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend so we can keep delivering you more fantastic insights on grit, grace, and growth. Stay connected with us on Instagram and Facebook, where we'll keep the ideas flowing to help you build a life you love and leave a legacy you can be proud of. Until next time.